Okay, hi everyone. My name is Kristen. Thanks for tuning in to this amazing program. Tonight we are live streaming with the program's called The Goats and Llama of Lot 72 with Diane Wilburn. Again, my name is Kristen O'Hara and I am Director of Interpretation at PEEC, which is in Los Alamos. And I will be the moderator tonight, which means all of your questions will come to me and I will share them with Diane at the end. We're also joined tonight by my colleague, Krista. She is a visitor service, see right there in the mask, visitor services manager at PEEC, and she is going to be social distance camera person tonight. Thanks, Krista. So a little about Diane before we get started. She has a really interesting bio. I love it. Diane Wilburn moved to Los Alamos in 1996 with her husband, who started working at the labs. She herself started working at the labs a year later and focused on environment, safety, and health. But around 2010, she had what her friends have called her agricultural midlife crisis, which is great. Diane went back to school and now has a master's in agricultural science from Colorado State University. She is a member of American Dairy Goat Association, the American Goat Association, and I'm gonna butcher this, the Belgian Ducal and Booted Bantam Club. That's a tongue twister. She is also studying to become a dairy goat show judge. So thank you so much, Diane, for taking time out of your day and showing us around Lot 72. And I hope everybody enjoys. And remember to type your questions for Diane in the comments. So I'll turn it over to her.
Hi, my name is and I'm never been here at all. Came in the main entrance. You just straight, you know, my lot is on your right. This all started, I will warn any of you who have gotten backyard chickens during the pandemic. This all started in 2011 when my son Colin, we turned his Ford into a chicken coop. And then in 2012, he decided he wanted to show dairy goats. And so here we are. So this is, I rent my lot from Los Alamos County. Rent pushes around $600 a year. And how that works, in case anybody's interested, because people will ask me, you buy the improvements from the person who had the lot before you. And we moved on to this lot in 2012. And it's not as pretty as I would like, but the guy who had this lot before me, Mr. Dick, he had chickens, goats, and horses. And so my lot was pretty much set up for what I wanted to do. Per the county code, you've got to have your contact information. So if somebody sees something odd on your lot, an animal getting out, they know how to find me. On my lot, I've got the Dottie Llama, then I've got all my goats' names. I've got a Tom Turkey. I've got him pinned up right now. He's in a bad mood. And then I've got too many chickens to name. When you have livestock in the state of New Mexico, I went to the Wyoming State Fair and I had to have a brand. You don't brand dairy goats. Anyway, this is my livestock brand. It's ZK4. That's my registered herd number with the American Dairy Goat Association. And then people will ask me, the name of my herd is Latte's Kinder. And that's there's a story, it's a Yiddish folk tale about a little boy, and he has a goat. The family's poor and they send the boy off to sell the goat for money. And on the way to the market, he runs into a blizzard. He hides in the haystack. He drinks the goat milk. The goat eats the hay and everybody survives. So they decide not to kill the goat. And that goat's name was Latte. And I'm probably boshing however you say that. But anyway, and then Kinder's the German word for kid. And then I have under that, everybody needs a walk with a goat, because that's what my husband says every time he sees somebody out walking their dog. He says they need a goat. And so then I'll show you this. My friend Carolyn made this. she did a sign for me for my birthday and named my goats. We need to update that because some things have changed. And I come up here twice a day. You've got my neighbor over here. During the time of the pandemic, Avon Hebner, she comes up with me. If you came up here at 6:30 most mornings, you would see both of us. And she's holding a rooster that's one of those Belgian duckles, and I'll talk about those later. So let's walk over here, and I'll show you my lot here. Let's walk around my truck so we don't run into the pine tree. When you have a lot out here at the stables, you're also gonna, if you've got food, you're gonna have rodents. And so back in January, I adopted this feral cat. You see how feral he is? His name is Alvin. He's very friendly. He is the mighty hunter. I think this summer I have seen a mouse once in my feed room. He brings me presents. If you looked over that way, you'll see that's my son Gray, my older son. He came home during the pandemic, poor guy. And he comes up to the stables with me a lot of afternoons when I come to feed. He's bonded with the cat. So every morning I come up here and I take a walk with him. But I'm going to walk you on the lot, and I'm going to tell you about the goats. I'm going to tell you about the American Dairy Goat Association, and then just random thoughts here. And then when you have goats, like in any hobby, people like to give you funny signs. So it's keep the goats gate closed. Don't let the goats out, no matter what they tell you. And if you come up here, they act like they haven't been fed in weeks, but I can pretty much guarantee you they have plenty to eat. In the dairy goat world, and when you show a dairy goat, if your goat weighs too much, the judge will tell you that your goat is well conditioned or over conditioned, and that's their way of telling you that you're feeding your goat too much. And all of mine except for one are over conditioned. So let's see. So the American Dairy Goat Association recognizes several different breeds of dairy goats, and on my lot I have Nigerian Dwarf goats and I have Oberhalsleys. And I had one of my goats had babies. They're 9 days old now, 10 days old. So, and I'll talk about them. But the shorter goats on my lot are Nigerian Dwarf goats. That breed people brought over to the U.S. I think in the 50s.
Which one?
This
here?
breed, yeah.
Okay.
These are all the same breed. Everybody's a Nigerian Dwarf except for the ones that are like that burnt red with the black stripe down the back. Those are Oberhalsleys. But if you go to, people say, well, what are dairy goat shows all about? And I tell them, if you've ever seen the Westminster Dog Show, it's sort of like that. Or if you've ever been to a state fair or a county fair, and you see people show meat goats and they show dairy goats. But if you see somebody in white pants and a white shirt, they're probably showing dairy goats. That's just the custom. And what they do when when they're judged, they will look at, and I'm just going to talk about does. I'm just going to talk about girl goats because I don't show any bucks. Buck's a male goat. The judge, they will compete against goats in their breed, and they will also compete by age. And so if a doe is under 2 years old and hasn't been bred, she'll do her contest as a junior. If she's over a year old and bred, then the 1-year-old Nigerian Dwarfs compete against the 1-year-olds, the 2-year-olds, etc. And then when they're 5 years old and older, they breed against each other. And then once they decide which is the best goat in all those age classes, they bring them all back in and they decide who's the grand champion, and then of all those age groups. And so what the judge is looking at, the Dairy Goat Association has this scorecard. It's 100 points. And you would think most of it was the mammary system, the udder, but a lot of it has to do with the skeletal structure of the goat. And I'm trying to think which of these guys is going to let me show you the best. So this is Cooper. He's a male goat, but I can show you some things about him. There are certain things they're looking for in a dairy goat, and what they're looking at are features that are going to make her the strongest, most milk producing machine throughout her life. And so they're looking for a long, lean neck. His neck isn't so long and lean. They want a broad muzzle. They want to know that that goat is getting enough oxygen into that system to make milk. His back is not straight. They want them to be lower here in the hind parts and higher up here. They say that if they walk them around the ring, they want them to, they call it uphill. And they also want this back to be straight. They're just wanting this full body. And then another thing they're looking at, a lot of times what they'll tell you is they want your goat to, your girl goat, to look like a triangle. You want it to be like a triangle. You want her to be like big, just get bigger and fuller. They also look at things, they're also looking at them from the front. They want them to have, they'll call it a front end assembly. They want them to have straight legs. They want their, they'll call these their toes. My guys aren't that great. They want their toes to be tight. Their brisket, they want that to be big and full. And then, I'll turn him around. It's a guy goat, sorry folks. They want them to be wide back here in the rear. They want them to have a lot of room to carry that udder. I'll get one of my goats, she might show you. I've got 2 goats in milk. And they want these legs to be straight. They want them to have a certain angle. But it's all features that over the years they have determined is going to give you a strong producing goat. So now I've told you about the Nigerian Dwarfs. So all my goats have a red collar, and they've got their name on it and my phone number. And that's so if somebody calls me during the middle of my work day and says, there's a goat out, I can say, does it have on a red collar? Does it have a llama in tow? And usually it doesn't. My fence does a pretty good job. I need to knock on wood. But now I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Nigerian Dwarfs I have. So this is Billy. He was one of the first 2 goats we got. He is like a laid back teenage boy that all he wants to do is sit on the beanbag and eat Doritos. If I've got to go to a kindergarten class or in a parade, Billy is who I take, because he's gonna, if I've got a pretzel in my pocket, he's gonna go where I need him to go. And he's a pretty steady guy. He's just, I think they're all special, but anyway, he's pretty rock steady. And his name is Billy because we weren't that creative when we started naming them, so Billy Goat. So then, this is Cooper. He is my only blue-eyed goat, and he is spoiled rotten. He is, how old is Cooper now? He's like 6, 7 years old. Is that right? I think so. He will, if me and Krista were standing side by side and I was paying more attention to Krista than I was to him, he might headbutt her. I mean, probably he doesn't. I don't watch him headbutt me now, but he doesn't headbutt me because I'm the food source. And his name is Cooper because the story behind that, if you watch NFL football, he was one of 3 boys, and Peyton and Eli, and we were thinking about, what do we name him? Mo, Larry, Curly, what do we name him? And so Eli and Peyton had a brother named Cooper who didn't play college, or he may have played college. He didn't play professional NFL because he hurt his back, is how I believe the story goes. But anyway, so we named these boys Peyton, Eli, and Cooper. And Peyton and Eli live down in the valley, and they're weed eaters on a friend of mine's. I can't remember if it's at his house or his mom's house. And then, but Cooper, he's my buddy. We've done everything. We've dressed up for trick-or-treating on Main Street and handed out candy at Pet Pangea. And me and him, let's see, we've been Ninja Turtles one year. And one year we were the Skipper and Gilligan from Gilligan's Island. I put a skipper hat on him, and I wore the red shirt and like cap that Gilligan wore. So he's my buddy too. And so then I'll go over and talk about my mama goat. So this is Iris I had. I name my girls after flowers. And since I'm from the southeastern United States, I tend to elongate my animals' names. And so I call her Iris Inez. I have no idea why. She had babies last Sunday. She's 4 years old. This is the second time she's had babies. She had a boy and a girl. And she did really well. The babies happened sometime between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. Sunday morning. She had a little girl, and since I named her after a flower, her name is Dutch Iris, and she's a cutie. So like I said, she's a 9-day-old girl, and this is her brother. This is I named him Davy. There's people like Davy Crockett, and I'm like, no, Davy County, North Carolina. But he's real laid back. And so, and they're both, I'm very happy with my goats there. And so this, Krista is being nuzzled by, this is Allegheny. And Allegheny is 2. And he had, I'm getting jealous. Don't be jealous. So Allegheny is one of the 2 boys, or 2 brothers, and his brother is Iredale. And he's probably no, y'all don't get into it. We're on camera. He's very tame, and I kept, people are like, you don't show weathered goats, and you don't show goats with horns, but I just like him, and so he hangs out. So that's him. This is, you want to go to the goat at the fence? Okay. Her name is Buttercup, and Buttercup was the 3rd goat my son Colin got. And I don't remember how many times we've bred her now. Iris Inez is her granddaughter. She's 11. Buttercup has been to the Wyoming State Fair. She's been to the New Mexico State Fair. I can't remember if we took you to the Colorado State Fair or not. But for an 11-year-old girl, I won't breed her again. She's too old to me. But her top back is pretty straight for an 11-year-old girl. One thing that goat people also look at is the steepness of their rump. They want it to be more like up here. And a lot of that has to do with just the ease of birthing, just so the baby has more room to come out. So, and you may not have seen that. Buttercup was getting ready to go to that fence. My barn cat, she comes on the lot. She climbs the fence and gets on the roof. Buttercup and a goat I'll introduce you to later, Voodoo, they don't like cats. Just don't ask me why. They just don't like cats. So, all right, we'll walk on over this way. Uh-oh, my feed room just got open.
They're all really excited.
Breaking and entering.
All right. Let me come over here and I'll introduce you to my overhaul. So, this is my girl, Hooligan. I bought her from a lady up in Colorado who has Heaven's Hollow. She has some really nice goats. And so this is Hooligan. And then my son, I named her daughter Helenium after a flower, but my son Gray calls her Hooliganita. And so that's what I've been ending up calling her. And I'm hoping to show her. She was born, I think, in February. The Oberhalsleys, how we got into Oberhalsleys, my son went, the first state fair he went to in New Mexico, it was Colin and several girls, and they all had full-size goats. The Oberhalsleys a full-size goat, and Colin had Nigerians, and he told me he needed a more manly goat, and the family there had Voodoo, who I'll introduce you to sometime. And so we came home with an Oberhalsley, and I just really like this breed. This girl to me is looking nice. She's tied in the toe, got a pretty straight back. She's got, looks to me like a nice long rump, but we'll just have to see how she fills out and what she does. This is her brother, Halifax. And if my friend Jean Dewart is watching, this goat is for you, Jean. When I went on a work trip and I met a guy who raises pack goats because he's a big game hunter. And so he started talking to me about it. And overhauls, these are a breed you use for pack goats. So I tell Gene that my hope is that I like train this guy one day to carry a pack. From what I have read, pack goats can carry, I think it's like, is it 25% of their body weight? Yeah, I think I have that right. And so he should weigh at least 160 pounds. So I'm thinking if he could haul 40 pounds, that'd be a nice, that's a lot of weight. And I take him on a walk every day. And so he's real used to walking beside people. So I just have to take him out and see what he does. So, and then let's see, this is my goat. All right, guys. Really? Get out of my video. All right, this is my goat, Voodoo. This is the goat we came home with from the state fair. She's 11 years old. She's my favorite goat. I've retired her too. She was actually in a Los Alamos little theater play a couple of years ago about some sailors went on shore leave and they came home with a goat. And so she made it on stage. I can't remember if they took her on stage. It's like 7 different times. And, my thought was, she'll use the bathroom on the stage. But apparently she did not. And as you see, they broke into my feed room. You learn things. I didn't grow up on a farm. So I'll show you this because you may think this is funny. Anyway, so I used to have this lock on my door, right? And they would bump it and mess with it and open it. So anyway, so my friend Cheryl and her husband and sons, they put these on there. And so they haven't figured out those yet. So that's the things you learn. Since they're all in the feed room, I'm going to come in here. I'll try to pull them out. What do you feed a goat? Well, you feed them hay. And in this area, I don't know if you can come in here and see or not. I've got grass hay. And this grass hay came from a guy, I think he grew up around Penasco. And grass hay, and it's got a little Timothy in it. It doesn't have as much protein. And goats are rumens, and they need something on their stomach, so I feed them that. I may have to get some bread here to get these heathens out. But anyway, so, and you can see my containers, and I have never had a container that my goats cannot figure out how to open. You can see these things have screw top lids. Nope, they figure it out. And then people and don't bring apples out to the stables and feed the horses. The horses, it might upset their digestive system. But with apples, a friend brought me some apples, and they'll eat those. And then my barn cat, I keep his food in the toolbox, and I put out a handful twice a day for him. And then what they're really loving is they love chicken feed. So they broke into the chicken feed. The next container is goat chow. Purina makes chow for everything. And so that's some Purina goat chow. I think it's Purina. I buy different things. The other thing they're all crazy over is I bought some oats. And then in that large trash can container, since I have 2 goats in milk, you need to feed a goat. When she's milking, you need to feed her a grain. So then now we'll look at Hooligan's udder. Her babies are nursing. But anyway, so that's her udder. That's pretty much an empty udder. And if you look at my girl Iris on this, she's got her rear may be a little messy there. So she's got her udder there. So, and I'll let these babies nurse. I'm not sure if I'll milk her or not. If you really want me to bore you to tears, I can start talking about the shape of the udder and stuff. And there you go. There's you don't want to go in there, little boy. All right, let's see. Oh, let me show you Azalea May. Hey, Greg, will you get my goats out of there? Put them to work. So now I'll talk about my chickens while he's doing that. Then I'll come back to it. So this is my turkey, Tom Turkey. And if you walk out here at the stables and you go by my gate, he will come up and talk to you. He's usually pretty vocal. I've got him in here. He's been acting weird. I don't know if he's jealous about the babies or if he's jealous of my young turkeys. But he's about 4 years old. I got him at the feed store in Espanola. He's not puffed out right now. A poultry molt, and and that they lose their feathers and get new feathers. And he's got some new feathers coming in up front. His tail feathers, he's about lost them all. If you look at that gray thing in the front, that's a beard. And the older and more mature a tom turkey is, the longer that will be. All that fleshy stuff on the front of his face is called a snood. I talk about crossword puzzle words. That's a crossword puzzle word in my opinion. When he does fan out, and everything I'm telling you is stuff I've read. I don't claim to be an expert in any of this. When all of his feathers fan out, it's like when we as humans get goosebumps, and it poofs out. And another thing that I have learned about turkeys, when he does have his feathers all out, he'll drag his wings in the dirt and he'll make these lines. And so turkey hunters can look for that when they're trying to figure out where turkeys are hanging out in the woods. My older son Gray doesn't like him. He thinks his feet look like dinosaurs. And if Tom he's got to weigh at least 20 pounds. And so that's my story of Tom Turkey. So now I'll take you over here. When I said I was a member of the Belgian Dwarf, I don't know if they call it a society or a club. People breed Bantam chickens, and a Bantam chicken is just a small chicken, and people don't raise those to eat or lay eggs. It's more because they're cute, right? And so 3 or 4 years ago, you can buy hatching eggs on eBay, believe it or not. And so I hatched that boy right there. And another thing people don't know is that you can order chicks from hatcheries, and yes, they come to you in the U.S. mail. And so I got some girls. You can get what they call a straight run, which means or you can get them sexed, and so you can order just girl chickens. And so I ordered some girlfriends, and there you see my friend Ava, she gets in there with them. But the Belgian duckles, so this spring, since I was working from home, I bought an incubator and I started hatching some eggs. And there you go, there's one. And I don't know if I can't tell you now, that's probably a boy. You can see that red flesh on top, that's called a comb. Not so as easy. It takes them, they got to get a little bit of age on them before you can tell. But that's, I just like that breed. My idea is that I'll keep them for a little while, and then I'll talk to my, or post their pictures on the Belgian Duckle Facebook page and say, which ones of these would you advise me to keep to breed? And then he's very vocal. I call him Rooster Booster. If you go in there, he will jump you. I don't think he weighs 5 pounds, so it really doesn't hurt. Yeah, but that you can tell she's a girl. She doesn't have she doesn't have a comb up top yet.
And this is the friendliest one.
Yeah. And you call a young male chicken a cockerel, and you call a young female chicken a pullet. I think I had that right. And you can look, they got like these fancy feathered feet. And the breed, this breed is actually called the Mille Fleur. It's French for 1,000 flowers. Excuse my accent. But anyway, that's and I don't know as much about them as I do the goats, so I'm not sure exactly what they're looking for. That chicken, the black and white chicken, she's just in there because she was a chicken egg I hatched, and she hatched with these guys. And when you hatch them together, they bond together. So I think I hatched some of my own. I think 3 or 4 of these are from my chickens, and then about 10 of them I actually ordered eggs on eBay, and a friend of mine actually hatched them because my timing was off, and his name is Nicholas, and he hatched them for me while I was out of town. And
Oh, he got out.
oh, did he? Oh wow. Well, we'll get him back in. Oh, people will ask me, why do I have these little chickens in the coop? Out here at the stables, we've like anywhere, I guess, in Los Alamos, we've got hawks and owls. And so I don't want to lose them. And so I keep them in. Oh, now he's going to fight with Mr. Rooster. He thinks he's very, very tough stuff. So, yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to catch him or not. We'll get him eventually. Food will eventually get him in. So if you want to, if you open that gate, you might be able to just run him in. Of course, somebody else might run out. So, and what you do, people with backyard chickens, yeah, chickens usually go where they don't get, come here, buddy. They don't get too far from the food source. There you go. And so if you got backyard chickens and you had a coop, you could just, if you watered them once a day and you feed them once a day, that should be enough. I come out here and I check them twice, give them their chick feed. And then you throw out what they call chicken scratch, which would just ground up various grains and they just scratch in the dirt and find that. But they're pretty simple. I don't think they take a lot of work. Let me tell you about some of my, I'll tell you about some of my other. Chickens, they pretty much, so a chicken at night, the sun's starting to set, so they start to roost, and they sleep beside the same other fowl at night. And so this little Bantam rooster I hatched was in the same batch as this turkey egg I hatched, and so they're both guys. I don't know how long this friendship is going to last, but they sleep up there, and then some of my other chickens will get along this post. So, but these guys, I can't remember if I hatched them in late March or late April, but you can't see his beard yet, but I'm pretty sure he's a boy because he's starting to fan. He'll fan out. And this is a mille fleur. I don't know why he hasn't been consumed by the hawks or owls, but maybe it's because he hangs with the big guys. I don't know. So, but it's really neat. You probably can't see it on the Zoom, but their feathers, when the sunlight shines them, they'll be black and a kind of an iridescent green. Yeah, they're really pretty to me. So that's how. And we got started in those. If you go when it's not pandemic time, I think it was, and they have them across the state. They'll have chicken swaps where people will just show up with their chickens to swap. And so I think Colin came home with a mille fleur in 2012, maybe. So, and this guy that we have here, he is a summer. So he came in a group that was supposed to be all girl chickens, but Bentley's chewing Krista's rear. So, but anyway, I think he's pretty, and he was, I think, when did he come? I think in March, but he's got some really pretty colors too. I mean, he looks like something in a storybook with his feathers. So, but he's a big boy. So, anyway, oh, I hear my barn cat.
Hello there.
Okay. So let's see. Oh, so I was going to tell you a little bit about backyard chicken breeds. The white one is a Delaware, and that's a breed. People have those because they tend to gain weight fairly fast, so you can eat them fairly young. And they also are good egg layers. They lay a brown egg. And then let's walk over here, and my other chickens have gone to bed. I'm not sure. My red chicken, I'm not sure if she's a Rhode Island red or a red sex link. She lays a brown egg. Avon's chasing my duck. The story on my duck, she's a Pekin duck, and I don't know how old she is. I've had her for years. Somebody down in the valley had a dog that was eating their chickens and ducks, and so I ended up with her. And she's I don't think she lays an egg or two a week, but she's she's been here, so I keep her on, sort of, I guess, her retirement home. I don't want any more ducks because they make the water really dirty, and I'm lazy. So she is a survivor, though, which leads me into another story. I haven't talked about the Dottie Llama. So this is Dottie, and Dottie is, how old is Dottie? She's like 6 years old. I've had her for about 4 years. She, and why I got her, about 4 years ago, a coyote got on my lot, and I lost several ducklings and many fowl, many chickens. And how you know a coyote has gotten your chickens, in my opinion, is because the bodies are gone. If a raccoon or skunk gets in your chicken coop or on your lot, there's parts, and it's quite an ugly murder scene. So I read up online, the Cooperative Extension Service back in the 90s had done a telephone survey, and they had and they did it with I think it was sheep owners, and they had some of the sheep owners, there was anecdotal evidence that if you had a llama, that you didn't lose as many lambs to the coyotes. And so the general gist of the article was llamas don't like canines, and you need one llama so it bonds with what you're trying to protect. And you and a female is more protective than a male. And so that's Dottie's job. And about I have seen her chase away a coyote, a single coyote, about 3 times. I never can whip out my phone camera fast enough to capture it on film or capture it on my phone. And I've seen her chase away 2 once. I know she couldn't keep a pack of coyotes away, but that's her job. So I'm glad I have her. I don't at night. I don't shut up any of my animals, and I haven't. And knock on wood, I haven't lost one since I got her. If you look at her coat, she's had a haircut in June. She gets an annual haircut. But as you can see, that the guy who shears her, he leaves her fur on her tail. And how we shear Dottie, this guy's name is Alpaca Tom. You can Google him. He lives around the Albuquerque area, and he goes around the country shearing. He just sent me an email yesterday. He's done for the season. I forget how many alpacas and llamas he said they worked. But what he does is to shear llama, it's quite an interesting thing to see. We take 4 people and we walk her into a corner. And then, because I spoil my animals, my vet, Dr. Harwell, she's wonderful. She gives Dottie what I call it llama Valium. And so she gives her a shot, and she doesn't go to sleep. She just kind of gets laid back. And so then what Alpaca Tom does is in this area, he'll lay out 4 ropes that are connected with a pulley. And all of those 4 ropes have a loop on them. And so all 4 of us will walk Dottie over to those ropes. And then one of us will take those ropes and we'll loop, and we'll put it on her feet. And about that time, she's really getting laid back. And then that person who put the rope on the put the ropes on her leg, they'll take the pulley and they'll run, and it pulls her legs together. And then the 3 people will lie her down. And then you take a tarp and you put it there, and he shears her with some electric clippers. It doesn't take him 10 minutes. It might take him 5. And with her wool, I'm not very crafty, but I send it to the mill in Mora, New Mexico, and they will spin it up. She probably, now here you go, Ava, this is chicken scratch, and she will go crazy for chicken scratch. Yeah, you'll have to, they're probably going to attack you there. So you will be able to, yes, there you go.
Let's see. Can I?
She might let you pet her.
She doesn't like it when I pet her ears.
Yep. So there are chicken scratches. If you want a goat to do something, give them a little chicken scratch, and they will do it. So let me show you a few more of my chickens. I don't know what my time is.
It is 7:43.
Okay, all righty. How long did you want me to talk?
So the program ends at 8, and
Okay,
we want to
wait.
leave some time for questions.
Okay, I'll talk about 5 more minutes. Tell
Okay,
me,
great.
you
Thanks
can
so
just-
much.
You can go like this.
Okay,
I won't do
got it.
I can ramble. I can talk a lot. So in here, what you did, I got some more chickens. It's dark in here. So but anyway, this is another Delaware. These girls, you probably can't see them in the back. They're an Americana breed. And you'll hear people talk about Easter egger chickens, and they lay a blue-green egg. And then if you come over here, you sort of, when you look for eggs, it's sort of like a, don't look ahead.
Okay.
It's like a Easter egg hunt. So what I'm going to do, I keep this cage in front of here so the girls, when they lay their eggs back in this corner, they can do so in peace. And so that's let's see. I think I got everything. I'm a little bit hesitant to put my hand back in there in the dark because there's a bull snake, and let's just say if I had felt something move, y'all would have heard me scream. So anyway, I hadn't seen it this summer. I don't know if the cat keeps it away, but the past 2 summers, and I think he eats my eggs. But we can come out here and you can see there's a little bit of color variation in the eggs.
Thank you.
So there you go. There's the brown eggs and the blue-green. I have a friend who has Americanas, and she says as the girls age that their ink cartridge runs low and they're not as blue-green as they are when they're younger. So anyway, so I think I'm getting about 4 eggs a day. Oh, and another interesting thing, every now and then I'll come on my lot and there will be a chicken here that I hadn't seen before. And oftentimes it's a rooster. So I think, but anyway, they pretty much hang out. People say, well, don't your roosters fight? And since I don't coop them up, they might like get a little angry with each other about food time, but they get along fairly well. But you can't, the only time it's an issue is if you need to have several hens for each rooster, because a girl chicken can only take so much love. I guess I'll put it that way. I'll go in here. This is oh, people ask me, and I'm thinking of things people ask me. So in the wintertime, what do you do? If it's going to get below about 15 degrees, I put everybody in this room, and you can see the size of it. When I get them all in here, it's fairly tight. I've got a fan there. It's a special fan that like has its motoring closed because you don't want it to catch on fire. And I got it on a timer. I just do it to keep it cooler in here. This is my milk stand. I could have shown you how I get it, what you do with the milk dough, but what you do with her, you put something that she really wants to eat in here, and she steps up on the stand, and you lock her head in, and then you milk her. I have better luck milking my overhauls than I do my Nigerians. I don't know why, but I do. And then I just have various gear out here. This is like my goat medicine cabinet. I've got hydrogen peroxide. I've got dewormer. I've got eye drops, Pepto-Bismol, betadine. But you got to have the gear. And let's see, what else have I got in here? And then like my toolbox, I've got clippers. You have to trim their hooves. Those dirty dog bowls over there, I call them electric dog bowls. They plug in, and so in the wintertime, I put water in there and plug it in. Goats don't really like warm water, but it makes me feel better to know they've got access to water.
They're rocking in the rocking chair.
Oh, that's cool. They will climb on anything. So, there you go. He's gone. Whoops, there he went. There they go. Okay, you want to open it up for questions?
Sure.
I'll see what I can answer.
Do you guys have any questions?
Yes, we have a couple. So, we had a question initially. What ignited your agricultural midlife crisis?
So Colin got chickens in 2011, and then he started in 4-H in 2012, and I started going to shows, and I fell in love with it, and that was what started it all. And you got that's how old was I then? So I'm 55 now. So 10 years ago. My kids were growing up, and it was just a passion, and I just enjoyed it, and so here I am. So
love it. Okay, so we have a lot of questions coming in now. So let's see. We had a couple questions about the baby goats, of course. So how many baby goats do you have right now?
Okay. Oh, so I've got the 2 baby Nigerian dwarfs the ones that are jumping around, and then in the Overhausley breed, I don't know if you call them babies, but I've got Hooliganita and Halifax, but they're large goats. So if you just came out here to my lot on these, they were born in February, so I'm not even sure you'd see them as a baby goat anymore. But I get real attached to my goats, and so I only will breed 1 or 2 goats a year. I have a hard time selling them, so my goal is to just breed a goat or 2 a year, and go to a few dairy goat shows, and so that's my plan. If you really want to get me on a roll, I didn't introduce you to Azalea May. I don't see her. Oh, she's over there by the feeding door. She's 2. And I've tried to artificially inseminate her, and I can go on forever about goat genetics, and you can buy goat semen, and they will ship it to you. But I'm trying, and I'll probably try again this fall to artificially inseminate her as well. What you do to do that? Well, you order the semen, you keep it in a liquid nitrogen dewar. You give them some hormones, and then like 7 days later, you give them a different hormone, and then you breed her in 2 days. And we'll see if we're successful. So I'll see what happens. So
what are your plans for the baby goats? Gwen asks.
Oh, so the baby goats. So the boy, I will fix him. I didn't get into that. The county regulations for the stables, you can't have an unaltered male goat, and why that is, male goats have a scent to them, and some people find it offensive. One time I had borrowed a buck from a friend of mine, and my husband opened the coat closet, and my coat smelled like male goat, and he was like, it's time for him to go home. But anyway, but the boy, I'll fix him, and I'll keep him as a pet. Will I ever give him to somebody, sell him to somebody? I don't know. I might. We'll just see. I've got 13 goats out here right now, and that's an okay number for the girl. I will, as soon as the world opens back up, I hope to take her to some dairy goat shows. So, and then and then if she does well, I'll breed her and see what kind of babies she produces. So.
Nice. So big plans, lots of plans. I love it. Gwen also asks, what are the 2 types of goats you have? There was a Nigerian Dwarf and
the other breed. It's a Swiss breed. It's Overhausley, and I may botch the pronunciation. It's Overhasli. And if you went to like the dairy goat show at a state fair, say when you go to the Colorado State Fair, you might see a dozen Overhausley goats, but you're going to see a lot of Nigerian Dwarfs. And I think people like the Nigerian Dwarfs. In my opinion, when you go to a goat show, there are a lot of women who show goats. And a Nigerian Dwarf, if I want to take one of my Nigerian Dwarf girls and I want to give her a shot, or I want to trim her hooves, I can manage her myself. But if I want to give a shot to one of my Overhausleys and she's not interested, I got to have somebody help hold her, because they're more like 150 pounds and they're strong. So Azalea May has pulled me down a couple of times when I've wanted to do something that she did not want me to do. So.
Darn strong goats. From Roxana, she has a question. What makes the chickens lay colorful eggs? Do you know?
I don't know. I just know when you like look up an egg or when you look up a chicken breed, it'll just tell you what color of egg they lay. So that's, and the Americanas, I like them. I think they're pretty. To me, they look like feather dusters. And then the blue-green egg thing is just kind of neat. So that's why we got those.
Yeah, so maybe some sort of genetic predisposition.
So I had no idea.
So how long has she been working with you? Evan is such a big help. Evan is okay.
So that was during the time of, so she's my neighbor, and so she's in my bubble of people that I see on almost a daily basis, and her and her family, they just like animals, and so and she knew I was coming up here every morning, and so she just started coming with me, and now with school starting and then just based on my work schedule, we make it out here. She makes it out here with me probably 4 days a week. So we work it out and schedule it. So, and I like to think that she's homeschool, she's working at school from home, but I like to think that she's learning a lot about things out here. So.
Okay. So there's a couple questions about time. One of them is, what time of day do you walk your herd? And the other is, how much time do you spend taking care of all these animals?
Okay, so that's so I come up here about 6:30 in the morning, and I do that because I want to avoid bothering anybody. The last thing I would want would be for one of my goats to scare somebody on horseback, because that would not be good. And so time-wise, if I just came up here and I fed them and I watered them and I walked out, it would take me less than 30 minutes. But if I want to do it like I want to do it and spend some time petting them and seeing, checking them out, making sure everything's okay, then I do about, then I can spend an hour. But I can come up here and spend an infinite amount of time. There's always something to do. And then you can sit in your rocking chair and just hang out with them. If you came up here and sat in the rocking chair, you can pretty much, it's the same cat. Buttercup's going to come up to you and she's going to want to be petted. It's the same thing. She comes up, and then Cooper gets jealous and he comes up, and then Allegheny and Iredale, they're like, why aren't you paying attention to us? So they're attention hogs so they want to be rubbed and scratched. So
they're so cute. I love them.
Oh, and then that when I was talking about my time, that's for the goats and the chickens. So
okay.
And some people might just feed them once a day and water them once a day, but I guess I have my phobias, and so I'm afraid. So I come up here twice a day.
The low battery warning is coming up on your phone.
Okay, hold on. Can you still see us?
We just might lose our battery power.
Okay, so if they do, everyone, I'll round this out. But a couple more questions. We got a lot at the end. So there's a question here. There's a couple questions about Dottie, and basically, like, is she friendly? Is she kind of tame? Why is she more aggressive than a male?
Oh, she's not as aggressive with a male. The article I read, if I'm remembering it correctly, it said that a female would bond more with what herd you wanted her to protect.
Okay.
So that was that. And then, so when I bought her from a guy south of Santa Fe, and he had sheep. And so he had her as his livestock guardian, and then he bought a sheepdog. And so he had never tamed her. So I got her when she was about 2. And in that time, I have gotten Dottie to the point where she will eat out of my hand. The other thing I'm trying to get her to do, and I don't know if it'll happen in my lifetime, when I get her to eat out of my hand, I'm trying, and I've gotten her to the point, I won't do it with her now because it would be too hard. I'll put food in my hand, and I'm trying to get her to put her head through this halter. And she'll do it, but if I rest the halter on her nose, she doesn't like it. But anyway, but that's what I try to work with her on that, like once a day with her halter. So she's gotten better than she was when I first, and that's taken me about a month to get her to stick her nose through. So
we have a lot of really good suggestions for counting names from North Carolina, so I'll make sure to send those. But two questions if we have enough battery power.
Okay.
This is from Dave. Dave says, hey, and I know you've explored using your goats to help with wildfire control and mitigation.
Yes.
Will they eat pigweed? I've got plenty of them to clear out.
I do not know, but one thing I have been doing with my goats, if you came out here to the stables, the county paid a company and they did a fire break here along the canyon edge to the north of where I'm standing. And my goats go out there and the scrub oaks, they keep them down. And I think I finally read, that was actually what I wrote my master's, it was a professional paper on using sheep and goats for wildland fire mitigation. And as a ballpark, I think it's a goat can, 10 goats can do a pretty good job of clearing an acre. Yeah, that's what Chris is showing you is the goat in
so cute.
That was like the best toy ever. I didn't know it was a toy. So they've had a good time messing with that.
And then one last question we have from Richard Ash. What do you do with the wool from Dottie, the llama?
That's my nephew. Richard, I'm slow at it, but I love you enough. I will knit you a scarf. My scarves are not very pretty. I only know how to knit and purl. And knit, purl, but yeah, that's what I do with it. If you want some of the wool, email me or send me a message and I'll send you some.
Nice. And one more that I missed was there's a couple about the goat milk. How much have you produced in a year before, and what do you do with it?
So that's I keep no records whatsoever. There's a lady out here at the stables, Lena Lapatina. She knows a lot about milk testing and production. With my milk, I pretty much let the babies nurse. I will keep some of it. I probably make 200 or 300 bars of goat milk lotion a year. Goat milk soap a year. And now the thing I enjoy doing the most though is I like to make goat milk lotion, and so I'll make that. To me it's easier, and I enjoy it more. So
that's awesome. And I think that's all for the questions. Those are really great questions, everyone. Thank you so much. And thank you, Diane, for touring us around. It was amazing. The baby goats are extremely cute.
Oh yeah.
And thanks, Krista, for being the camera person.
It was fun.
So for everyone on this program, thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this program, there's so many more like them. Please go to our website, peeknature.org. Thank you again for tuning in, and bye. Bye. Thank you so much. Everyone have a great night. Bye, goat.